So Faraway Lucas and lovely audience at home, same question. What is a piece of media with a canon ending you refuse to accept as canon?
I think The Last of Us 2. I know that it's like, it gets to that point of violence is just not the right answer, but goddamn, I kind of wanted Abby to die.
And it's that classic trope, right? The protagonist will mindlessly cut their way through all of the villain's henchmen, but they draw the line at shooting the person who actually wronged them.
They realise that, all of a sudden I shouldn't kill the person that actually affected my life.
Yeah, like I said, in Last of Us 2, my version of Ellie was machine gunning people's kneecaps off and like throwing fucking nail bombs at them. But she draws the line at drowning the person who shot her dad. The Thing is a cinematic paradox in the sense that when it was released, it was widely considered to be one of the worst films released that year, whereas today it's considered one of the greatest films ever made. Something that may have a lot to do with the fact that when it was released, audiences hated thinking about how it ended.
I cannot understand how people at the time thought that this was a terrible movie.
It's wild, right? So that is not hyperbole in any way. Like, The Thing, on release, was widely criticised for being, and I quote, one of the worst movies released that year, and my favourite criticism was, it is boring. Reminder, this is a film where a bearded Kurt Russell incinerates a alien from beyond the stars with a fucking flamethrower. Boring.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
Like,
this is a film about a lethal, parasitic organism from space that comes to Earth and fights Keith David. And people, boring.
Like, fucking, alien shapeshifter murder mystery sci-fi movie with like flamethrowers and shit. What the actual fuck? How is that boring?
And in regards to the film's ending, it's cold, literally and figuratively. It is nihilistic, and perhaps most importantly, it is ambiguous.
How will we make it?
Maybe we should.
And it's not clear whether either of the men in that scene, Kurt Russell and Keith David, are actually human, or if they are the Thing.
Why don't we just wait here for a little while? See what happens.
I think it's pretty clear, because Keith David wouldn't do us like that.
Keith David wouldn't betray humanity like that, but like Kurt Russell might.
If you're worried about me...
If we've got any surprises for each other, I don't think we're in much shape to do anything about it.
And that's kind of the point of the film, that the Thing can assimilate and then perfectly mimic anybody it encounters before quickly and violently beating them to death with its giant meaty alien appendages. That's the best thing about the Thing, is like, it could turn into anything, it just turns into tentacles. It's like, yeah. So the bit that always freaks me out, I know like this is held up as like the best example of practical effects in horror. The one effect in the film that always gets me, and it just makes me really uncomfortable, is when the Thing is on the table, the chest opens up and eats the guy's arms. That's a cool effect.
Yeah.
But it's like there's a brief shot where they look over to it mid-transformation and a shit ton of like tentacles pop out of its chest and start flicking around all crazy like. That's the thing that makes me uncomfortable. I don't like that. That's the form that I really don't like. There's just something about that makes it's the most unnatural form it takes in the film, in my opinion.
Not just the dog, the murder dog.
Well, that said, in my opinion, the most alien of the forms it takes is where it's like the thousands of tentacles. Because there's no analogue I can think of for that on Earth.
I don't think you've been researching like deep ocean enough, Karl, because there's definitely things like that do exist.
Exactly, and that's why we don't go fucking down there.
Yeah.
Everyone has like that thing that they don't like, right? I think it's why I'm scared of spiders. I'm just anything that has too many legs. And specifically, long-ass legs. It's like, spiders, a money spider, fine. And I think even a tarantula, I'd be okay with. Specifically, do you like the red-kneed tarantulas? Like, in fact, they're even kind of cute.
Woo, good haul. It's not completely understood why or how they build these holes. And it's pretty... Just kidding.
Because their legs are in proportion with their body. But then you see, like, huntsmen's. And there's just something about the proportions that freak me the fuck out. So, like, a crab. A crab, it's kind of cute. A lobster, kind of weird looking, but it looks kind of cool. Spider crab. Fuck that.
The ones that get me are like the weird starfish creatures. I like the starfish that are like the 1,000-pronged starfish with like the weirdly long appendages, and it's like, oh, no.
You see that, like, recently someone got a picture of like, oh, here's a starfish that had like an abnormality about it. It's only got 4 legs, so it's just square. So it's just a square starfish. It's like, man, that starfish gets bullied to fuck in the ocean, right? But anyway, so in regards to the thing, the majority of the tension in the film is directly caused by the fact you don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, of course. Like, the entire point is the mystery of the thing.
Yeah, and that is something that was meticulously crafted and intended by John Carpenter, the director, to the point where there is an endlessly debated scene where you see a person in silhouette walk past. And fans have argued for years. They still argue about it to this day, about who that is. And we'll never know for sure because John Carpenter got a member of the crew to be that silhouette. So whenever anyone asks him, who is it, we don't know.
Can't even, like, freeze frame the image and
see
figure
which
out which
actor it is,
was.
because it wasn't an actor that appeared in the film, it's a random extra. To add to the ambiguity of what the fuck is going on, and at which point people become a thing. And even whether or not they're a thing at all. Like, you're not supposed to know for sure, just like the characters in the movie. And that's why the ending of the film is so genius. It's dark and it's dour, but the fact that neither man knows if they're a thing, and they just don't care. Because, fuck it, we're going to die anyway, why does it matter?
Yeah, and that's like, if one of them is the creature, even the creature has given up trying at that point because it knows.
It knows. It knows it can just, as Kurt Russell says earlier in the movie, like, it can just wait it out. It can survive in the ice, we can't. If either one of the men is a thing, they don't need to try anymore. But at the same time, if that is just 2 dudes, they're, like, you know, they're toasting to their mutually assured destruction. And the point is, you're not supposed to know. And the intention is that you argue about it. Not argue, I guess, it's like, you know, theorise about it. That generally results in people arguing online, but no, the fact that people are still talking about the ending of this movie 30, 40 years later is a testament to how effective an ending it is. The fact that people still to this day insist that, you know, oh, Keith David is a thing. Keith David's not a thing. Kurt Russell's a thing. They're both things. They're both human. They actually escaped. They survived. And I guess if you played, like, the Thing game or read the comics...
Whitley, this is Blake.
What have you got?
1 body. Identification says Childs, no survivors. And what appears to be a...
1 body and what?
and some kind of unidentified craft.
But, you know, just going by the core canon established by that one movie. And that's why I mentioned, like, the canon, right? Because the canon of the Thing, for me, is just the one movie. But I know that there is a comic and a game. I don't consider those to be canon. They're, for me, are like, they're what-ifs.
Yeah, they're not created by John Carpenter, right?
He signed off on the game, I think.
Okay, yeah. And I personally like the reading that they're both just humans thrown out at the end.
A toast, right?
I
Like,
acknowledge
we did
that,
it, we saved the day.
Yeah, and I fully acknowledge that that's just my own way of liking that ending, and it's up to interpretation, and that's the entire point.
Yeah, and my reading of it is that one of them is a thing, but I don't know which. Like, it's most likely not going to be Kurt Russell, because we follow him throughout the film. But
there's no reason to say why something could have happened off screen without us knowing, right? That's the mystery of it.
May argue, well, we see Kurt Russell defending himself against the Thing. Well, earlier in the movie, you see someone who is a thing actively taking part in the destruction of another thing.
Because that's the way to assimilate. That's how to fit in, yeah.
And that's what makes the film so interesting and so enjoyable to rewatch. I rewatch it every single year. And when I do my yearly rewatch, I try and watch it with someone who hasn't seen it before, who hasn't seen it in a while, just so I can get their opinion on the ending. Of like, what do you think happened? Like, audience at home, what do you think happened?
I think it's a really effective story to the point where, like, you know, without the kind of, like, gamification of it and the kind of strategies that come out of it, like, it's why Among Us works so well, is because it's just a fascinating premise that there are shapeshifters among you, and you've got to try and figure out who is and isn't deceiving you, and it lets you have that kind of, like, social deduction element of, can you blend in? Can you figure out who is trying to blend in? Can you, like, maybe, like, try and survive this situation? It's so interesting. And
yeah, like, for me, one of the most affecting lines in the entire movie is where Kurt Russell is stood, surrounded by everybody else. And he says, look, I know I'm human, and I know at least some of you are, because if you were all things, you'd jump me. And you see everyone, like, you see them all, like, nervously shift around and look at each other. And you can read that so many different ways. You can read it as them not believing Kurt Russell. You can read it as them, like, trying to look for who else is a thing. It's like they're a thing looking for another thing to see if there's enough of them to jump him. Or you can just read it as, like, people, like, scared that, wait, is there a thing here and it's going to kill me? And you don't know. That's the genius of it. Like, as you mentioned, you had a reading of the ending being that, you know, both characters are human, but ultimately they're doomed. But they died knowing that they saved humanity. So it's like, you know, it's a bittersweet ending.
Yeah.
I accept your reading of the film, and something that fascinates me, and it's becoming ever more prevalent online, is people just not accepting that a piece of media can have multiple readings, or even any reading deeper than pure surface level. And as someone who's studied media for my degree and just enjoys discussing, breaking down media, it's been my job for like the last 15 fucking years. That is simultaneously fascinating and terrifying to me.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it's inevitably it falls on the fascinating side for me. But, like, yeah, it's really weird how, like, this movie has managed to kind of rile up people for what, the best part of 40 years?
Yeah, and I'd be inclined to say, like, the issue of people just refusing to engage with media critically is a modern one, if not for the fact that, you know, this has been happening for nigh on 40 fucking years, if not more. But the example that's in front of me right now is The Thing. So, as mentioned, savaged by critics who just basically critiqued every part of it. They didn't like the acting. Wild, they call it boring. They say it was gross, it was junk, the effects were terrible. It reads like you're reading shit from an alternate dimension, right? With the modern context we have of, like, this thing being widely regarded as a masterpiece. To read contemporary reviews that outright dismiss it as a piece of shit is wild. But one thing in particular, critics and, I don't want to say fans, because they clearly weren't fans, but they were people who watched it when it was first released, really disliked was the film's ending. Partly because it was so dark, but also because it didn't treat you like an idiot and tell you exactly what happened. And the best summation of this was a screening attended by director John Carpenter himself, when he sat, watched the audience, watched the movie, and was stood just, you know, out in the lobby as people walked past, asking them their thoughts on the film. And according to an interview with him, like, in which he was recounting this situation many years later, a lady came over to him and asked him about the ending to the film. And she asked him, so what happened at the end? And John Carpenter, who directed the movie to be ambiguous, asked the lady, what do you think happened? And the lady just looked at me and I went, oh, I hate that, and walked off. And that sums it up, right? That is an attitude that survives to this day, and I fucking like that lady. Oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
When you ask people, like, oh, what did you think about, like, this TV show, this movie, and they go, just blank face. Like, I've not seen a YouTuber that I follow tell me what to think about it yet, so I don't have an opinion.
Yeah, like, I haven't yet been told by the Reddit page what to think, so I don't know.
Yep.
going all the way back to the thing, Keith David did recently get accepted to have a star on the Walk of Fame.
Like, fuck yeah, he did. It's just so fucking good. It's like, man, what's your favourite Keith David role, and why is it Reverse Giraffe? So everyone always saying Rick and Morty, everyone's like, oh, it's definitely like the president. It's like, no, it's Reverse Giraffe.
Reverse Giraffe.
It's like, hey, I'm reverse Giraffe. I've got, like, you know, a short body and neck.
Is anyone here even real? Am I the only real person on Earth?
Maybe. Or maybe, just maybe, we're all real. You know me, I'm Reverse Giraffe. I have a short neck and legs. I went to college with Hammer Eye. Hey!